What's up everybody, I'm Alex and welcome to our first reaction video. Finally doing my first video. I'm going to be reacting to some scary animations. Ooh. I have two videos we're going to be reacting to. The first one is True Creature Horror Story animated by the YouTube channel Wansi Entertainment. And the video is going to be linked in the description below. True Creature Horror Story.
This is quite possibly the most intense and strangest encounter I've ever had. Not only did it happen to me, but also my dog, and my friend's dog too. In our local woods, there's a path beside a cliff face, and on those cliffs are a series of small caves that we call the Banana Caves.
The Banana Caves, I like that.
I was never sure why they were called that, but if I had to guess, it's because they were made of limestone and had a slight yellow tint to them.
Makes sense.
Maybe it was the shape of the caves, but that's not really important.
No, not really.
The path we walked was frequently walked by many people. Locals, dog walkers like us, bird watchers, you name it. It's not exactly a quiet path, which is why this was as shocking as it was. My dog and my friend's dog are great, and they're amazing off their leashes. They just go and do what they need to do and don't bother anyone or any other dogs. Of course, dogs will be dogs. Mine being a bit of an adventurer, it began climbing the bank that day toward the cliff face and near the caves. I tried to call him back down more than once. At one point, I called him again, but something had caught his eye. His head went real low to the ground, and his
Okay, what does he see?
I thought this was strange, because if it was a rabbit or a squirrel, he would have just chased it. But no, he stood as still as a statue. I shouted louder this time for him to come back down the path. Then there was a huge commotion. He went into fight mode. He backed up while barking and snapping at whatever the heck it was. I began to climb the bank myself in a panic, making sure it wasn't a badger or worse. My dog charged.
By the way, Mittens is on the couch too. She's laying on my couch.
It was awful. What I saw was this monkey-like creature with pointed ears. It had no fur at all that I could see. It was black and leathery, with black eyes. My dog shook and rolled fiercely, but this thing just held on. It felt like ages before I finally reached my dog. I'd been running as fast as I could up the bank. My friend's dog joined in on the commotion as she ran past me and began barking and snarling at this creature and my dog. As I got closer, I picked up a stick and instantly swung at the little creature. Terrified it was seriously hurting my dog, I hit the thing directly in the back of its head.
That didn't do anything.
But it didn't budge straight away. So I hit it again, and this time I cracked it against its back.
Full force, come on.
The creature then jumped off my dog, just like you'd imagine a monkey would. I got a look at it again, and noticed it had a bat-looking face with two sharp front teeth. It did this little spin and looked like it tripped, sort of. But eventually it dashed off on all fours, climbing up the cliff face and disappearing over the cliff edge. Luckily, my dog was pretty much unharmed. He had a slight cut above his eye, a cut on his nose, and a cut on his chest that looked worse than what it was. There was just a lot of blood. I have no idea what this thing was, but my friend saw it too from the bottom of the bank, and confirmed the exact same thing I saw.
Yeah, it didn't even help at all.
I believe it to be a goblin of some sort.
Maybe.
Otherwise, I have no idea. If you have any idea, please enlighten me.
I don't know.
I'd love to find out more. I live in the northeast of England, if that helps.
Okay. So, that was True Creature Horror Story animated by Wansi Entertainment. Oh my gosh. Now we're going to be reacting to True Horror Story animated submitted by subscriber part 1 by SSG Animations. So let's see what this is about. Commercial.
The best thing about my childhood is the friends I made. Andrew and Tristan are my best friends, and from a young age, we three have been doing things together.
It's like 6
We are all avid outdoorsmen, and at least twice a year visit new unexplored places. However, many a time we experience unusual things that are not only terrifying, but also make us question how much we truly know about our world. Today, I will be sharing one of these experiences with you.
Do
And
tell.
I kid you not, this was one of the scariest nights of my life. So, my buddy Andrew is a businessman, and he was overseas in Europe closing a business deal. A few days before his return, he called us. Hey guys, I know I was supposed to get back soon. However, I want you to join me here to explore the Alps. What are you talking about, Andrew? Tristan asked.
Those deep voice.
I was equally as
What are you
confused as
talking about,
Tristan.
Andrew?
Mr. Griffin, my new business partner, has a small cottage in the Alps. He offered me to stay in it over the weekend and asked me to invite my friends and family if I wanted to. It looked like a cool place to camp and spend a weekend. I've sent pictures of the cottage on our WhatsApp. We checked our phones, and sure enough, a small, humble cottage was displayed on our screen.
WhatsApp.
The place had a unique appeal about it, so
Oh, I
we
bet.
decided to go. That's how we planned one of the worst trips of our lives.
How is it
Andrew
worse?
picked us up from the airport and drove us to the cottage. We had to hike a few miles up the mountain to reach this cottage. Andrew mentioned on the way that the cottage had everything we needed. It was a big single room with no windows and a tall roof. One corner of the room was converted to a kitchen, and there was no toilet or a bathroom. There was a small freshwater lake behind the cottage where we could get water, and we had to carry food with us too. It was a picture-perfect location, and we were all excited to spend our weekend there. The first night was uneventful. We chatted and played cards till bedtime. Andrew fell asleep pretty soon, but Tristan and I were awake in our beds, chatting for a while longer, when suddenly Tristan
Oh God, his
silent.
eyes are like.
Dude, did you hear that?
Did you hear that?
What happened, Tristan?
Wait, what happened?
Heard what?
Heard what?
Someone walked past our cottage. Tristan was still in his bed, and so was I. We stayed awake for a while to listen to anyone else passing by, but there was no sound from outside again that night. The next morning, we both concluded it might be an animal and dismissed the incident. Later, we went bird watching, and then around 5 in the evening, started our campfire. It was so fun to get together with my buddies after so many months. We were laughing and enjoying the campfire until the sun set, and we returned to the cottage. It must have been no later than 7 p.m. when we heard the footsteps again. This time, whoever it was, kept on passing by our cottage several times. All three of us were on edge. However, what followed was so scary, weird, and unexplainable. Around 8 p.m., Tristan was thirsty, and we hadn't fetched water that day, so we had nothing to drink. The sounds of footsteps from outside continued. Nevertheless, Tristan and I decided to get water. Andrew was skeptical about our plan and decided to stay in. We reached the lake and started filling our bottles. We could hear multiple footsteps now.
God,
Something was really close to us. We tried to be alert and as quick as possible. As soon as we filled our bottles, we bolted for the cottage. Tristan was a few steps behind me. I looked back when a stone came flying from a nearby bush and hit him in the head.
He needs some milk.
He fell to the ground, the water bottle spilling from his arms. A giant, hairy hand appeared from the same bush and tried to pull him inside. I was shocked, but quickly dropped my bottles and got a hold of Tristan. A log suddenly hit the big hairy hand. Andrew stood right beside me with the log in hand. Take Tristan inside. I will get the bottles. I somehow managed to drag Tristan's large, unconscious frame into the cottage. Andrew entered right after, locking the door and barricading it with the tea table. Not a minute later, a large branch was thrown on the roof of our cottage. A human couldn't do so.
Get it?
Plus, the hand I saw was definitely not a human one. It was followed by some rocks being thrown at our cottage from all directions.
Being ambushed.
The noise was so loud, but still,
creatures.
we could hear multiple footsteps approaching. Looked like there were several of those hairy creatures.
That's what I just said.
Knew
hairy
we were under
creatures,
attack.
man.
The stones and the logs kept on banging on the walls of the cottage. Andrew and I were terrified and worried about what would happen if the cottage broke. Suddenly, a hole was punched in the wall beside the door, and a giant
not
hairy
good.
hand came in trying to grab one of us. I and Andrew picked up our trekking poles and tried to beat and stab the hand. It quickly retreated. When we looked through the hole, a giant yellow eye was staring back at us. Using the sharp side of the same pole, I stabbed the eye, and blood
Ow, ew, 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 I don't want to see that.
Scream could be heard, and many footsteps started running everywhere. A few minutes later, there was a pin drop silence outside. The creatures had returned to the forest, and we were safe. However, we did not step outside until sunrise. We made sure Tristan was okay and stayed up all night in case the hairy...
What was that?
decided to show up again. We left the cottage and the country that day, returning home to some research. I think they were Bigfoot or large mountain men. What do you think the creatures were?
Probably
Keep
Bigfoot.
watching to know
No,
about
probably-
the next strange experience we had.
Ooh, the next strange experience. Ooh, to be continued. Anyways, guys, so hopefully you enjoyed our first reaction video on this channel. There'll be definitely more to come, so hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you can be notified every reaction video I drop on this channel. I really don't have an outro for this channel. I guess I'll just see you in the next video. I don't know.